The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is a game that almost everyone who knows it adores. Whether you grew up on the original N64 version or played the newer 3DS version like I did, you love this game. This is the most favorited Zelda game of all time. It follows Link after the events of Ocarina of Time on a quest to find himself. He saved the world. He defeated Ganon, and he doesn't know what to do. He feels alone. All the friends he made from his adventure years in the future don't know him. They don't know who he is. So he leaves Hyrule in hopes to find himself. And on his way, he stumbles across a parallel dimension called Termina, and he quickly learns that it is in danger as the moon is crashing into Termina in 3 days' time. So once again, he has to be the hero. He has to step up, despite nobody ever really knowing it's him once again, because out of Termina, no one knows what happened. And there's a popular theory that the events of Majora's Mask aren't real, and that it's a metaphor made up either in his head or in purgatory, where he goes through the 7 stages of grief and accepts his death, which there is some compelling evidence. Don't get me wrong. You can find a lot of evidence for it on a quick search on YouTube or Google. But I feel like this isn't the case. There are a lot of parallels to the 7 stages of grief, and the fact that Link can make a statue of himself when he can normally only make statues of people who are dead or have passed away is pretty compelling evidence. But I feel like there's another game in the franchise that, if you look at it, really proves that this actually happened and that Termina actually exists. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess follows a darker, older, more serious Link. A Link who is simply living the life he wanted to live until one day Hyrule is engulfed in darkness, and he has to find a way to stop his land, Hyrule, from being engulfed permanently in twilight because of the Dark Lord Zant. And the first time he ever enters the twilight, he figures out that you can't have your human form in the twilight unless you bear a piece of the Triforce. So he is turned into a wolf, and he meets his companion named Midna. This game is about the battle between order and chaos, the order of Hyrule and the chaos of the twilight. And in the end, it truly tells you how you need both order and chaos to balance each other out. And the chaotic form for Link is his wolf form. When he takes this wolf form, he eventually meets another golden wolf who teaches him a song. And I feel like this song that Link first learns in Twilight Princess is the key to disproving the theory about Majora's Mask Link being dead. The Song of Healing is surprisingly complex for being as old as it is. It has both sad and happy aspects. When you are healing, when you're getting past grief, you can't only focus on the sad, and you can't only go and try and move forward and just be happy. You have to find a middle ground. You have to find that balance. And once you do, that's when you're finally able to move forward. Once you're able to accept what happened, but still look on to the future, that's when you can heal. And the Song of Healing understands this perfectly. It's written in a minor key, which is always a sad tune. Any sad song, look it up, it's probably going to be in a minor key. The moments that it's played in is you healing this father that was cursed to be a redad. And the daughter of this man just watches in horror as what she used to know as his father is now this monster who just doesn't know what he's doing. And anytime you play it to heal like a dead or a dying person, whether it's a Zora, a Goron, or anything, any of the races, it gives you the mask of their sorrow, which they're finally able to take off so they can move on and be themselves. And in that, there's a happiness to it, that these dead or dying people can finally move on and progress, whether it's into the afterlife or it's to be a better person now that they're healed. And you're probably thinking, why does this song matter so much? How does it actually prove that Termina exists? Well, in Twilight Princess, the first song you learn from the hero's shade is the Song of Healing. And the hero's shade is the same Link from Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, who has come to help the hero in Twilight Princess and teach him. And he first finds you in wolf form. And there could be a number of reasons that the Song of Healing is the first song that you are taught. It could be because he sees you in wolf form and he plays it to try and revert you back to normal, which doesn't work. Or it could be because he wants you to use it on him, so he can finally move on into the afterlife. And if the Song of Healing wasn't played there, then the theory of Majora's Mask never happening would have some merit to it. Then I might be able to believe it. But I believe the fact that the Song of Healing exists outside of Majora's Mask proves that the events of Majora's Mask did actually happen. Not only that, but the hero's shade, right? So you could believe that, hey, maybe Majora's Mask was just him in purgatory, and when he turned into the hero's shade, he remembers that song because, he was in purgatory. So he was finally able to move on and teach the next Link. Except no, I don't think he was able to move on. I think after saving Termina, he wasn't truly able to move on, hence why he feels the need to teach the next Link. He gained all this knowledge and expertise over the course of 2 whole adventures, and he has nobody to pass it on to. I believe the hero's shade is him not allowing himself to move on because of the regret of not having anyone to pass his knowledge on to, of the loneliness that he had. So I don't believe after the end of Majora's Mask, he would be able to move on from his death. I don't think that's the case. He's helping others move on in Majora's Mask. That is the reason that there's this constant theme of the 7 stages of grief. Because, yes, it deals with people who have died or are dying and are trying to move on. But it doesn't deal with Link dying and trying to move on. It deals with him trying to save Termina and trying to stop the loneliness that he feels, because he is truly a hero lost in time. And if this evidence isn't compelling enough, there is one more piece of evidence that isn't as strong as the Song of Healing, but I do feel that it is enough to just solidify that Majora's Mask and Termina actually exist. And that is that Majora's Mask is in Breath of the Wild. I believe that it is canon, that it's in Breath of the Wild. There's people on the internet that explain this better than I do, and if I remember, I will have a link to them in the description. But basically, it's believed that Majora doesn't have power outside of Termina. Outside of Termina, the Skull Kid can take Majora's Mask off just fine, but once he gets in Termina, you don't see him take it off until you finally defeat Majora. And I feel this is because Majora doesn't have power outside of Termina. In Hyrule, you can put it on, and the most that will happen is the eyes will glow. And there's also the case of the item description. It doesn't say it's like some replica. It says it's some ancient artifact that has been passed down. That doesn't sound very much like a replica to me. The eyes glow. It seems to work. Monsters are definitely fooled by it. So this is obviously the real deal. And I don't think this is just some, DLC they decided to add. I think this is canon. And there's also the case of it existing in A Link Between Worlds, but that's more of an Easter egg than in Breath of the Wild. So in conclusion, while Majora's Mask is an amazing game about grief and moving on and dealing with loneliness, I believe it is not dealing with Link's grief and death. It's only dealing with his loneliness, and he's learning to cope with that through the grief of others and healing them. And it's an amazing story. But let me know in the comments if you disagree with this theory or if there's any holes in it that I didn't realize. And I will see you all in the next one.